Pod and Country is made possible by a grant from the William and Alice Hinckley Fund and by Debbie Wu. Thank you.
I am the Reverend Vanessa Rush Southern, the senior minister of the First Unitarian Universalist Society of San Francisco. Welcome to Pod and Country. This is a place where we gather to look at UU values, Unitarian Universalists. We are a group of people who are creative, who are hopeful, and who are stubbornly determined to build the worlds we cannot live without, as we dismantle the worlds we cannot live within. I hope you'll join us in these conversations. The light's on. Come on in.
So come on in and grow your spirit, come on in. World of peace with liberty, come on in. Justice starts when all are valued, so let's begin. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Come on in, come on in, come on in.
Welcome back to Pod and Country,
an audio magazine for the spirit.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Mari.
And we have a very special episode today.
Last month, we interviewed Professor Bill Ong Hing, founder of the Immigration and Deportation Defense Clinic.
Professor Hing had a lot to say about our broken immigration system.
He suggested things we can do to participate in the fight against mass deportations.
Like having deep conversations with folks in our circles of love who just don't seem to get it.
And showing up.
Show up in the streets, show up in the courts.
And keep humanizing the issue by sharing the stories of the people most directly affected by the MAGA immigration policies.
So in addition to our usual satire, music, and final reflection from Reverend Vanessa, we've decided to devote this episode to sharing a few of these stories.
We collaborated with Guillermina Castellanos and Francisco Herrera, co-founders of Nuevo Day Labor and Domestic Worker Center. They introduced us to some friends who generously agreed to share some stories of overcoming, of what it means to hope and dream, and what it takes to build a good life.
This episode is a small step in a giant effort to reverse the dehumanization we've been witnessing.
But we want to be clear. Our goal isn't to explain or argue for or attempt to prove the worthiness or the humanity of the people whose stories you will hear.
What is in question at this historical moment is our own humanity.
So let's get started.
This is Cal Ball, Director of Pod and Country. Just a note, we've edited the stories for time, but they're not summaries. The translations and interpretations prioritize accuracy and meaning to every extent possible. It's Pod and Country, Episode 5, Nuevo. And please.
Okay, dinos de dónde eres.
Yo soy de un pueblito del estado de Durango, en México.
Uh-huh. ¿Y cuándo llegaste acá?
Bueno, aquí en San Francisco llegué en el 2006, pero a Estados Unidos...
I'm from a small town in the state of Durango, Mexico. I arrived in the United States near Chula Vista, near San Diego. I came because I had a work permit. I only worked on the weekend because I worked in Mexico, in Tijuana. There I worked Monday through Friday, and on Sundays, I came and worked in Chula Vista. My children were already grown up, and they didn't need me financially, and well, I was already separated from my wife. And I said, well, I'm going to start my life somewhere else, and I came to Ventura County. There I worked in the fields in Oxnard, California, and I worked in restaurants and in the fields, and I came to San Francisco because some people told me to come here.
Ya estaba un poquito mayor, aquí el campo me mataba mucho la espalda y dice, mejor vete para San Francisco, ahí trabajas más.
I was getting a little old for the field. My back was really killing me. And they said, you'll see. In San Francisco, there's more relaxed jobs for your age. And there's a lot of work right now. And that's why I decided to come here to San Francisco.
Muy vanidoso, pero desde que llegué, desde el primer día que llegué, desde ese día llegué con buena suerte porque llegué a una estación del bus, del Greyhound, conocí a una persona. Le dije,
This
¿cómo le
might be
podía hacer
vain,
para ir a...
but from
cómo le podía
the
dar
first day I
dinero?
arrived here in December, I arrived with good luck because I knew someone. I asked him how I could get a place where I could sleep, and he took me to a shelter. That night, I slept there. And the next day, I already had a job because I met someone else there. And he said, "You just got here. Do you want to work with me where I work? Come along." Distributing newspapers from a newspaper called The Examiner. The next day, I was working. I worked from the next day that I arrived in San Francisco. I worked at the former Examiner distributing newspapers outside a bar. It was my first day on the job, and from then on, I started working, and I honestly never struggled.
En otras partes batallé para trabajo, pero aquí llegué como que Dios me dijo, Gerardo, aquí es tu tierra, aquí tienes que venir. Y no batallé nada.
In other places, people struggle to
Tenía
work.
shelter.
I arrived here as if God told me, Gerardo, this is your land. You have to come here and you won't struggle at all. Look, I had a shelter and I had a job. And the shelter is one of the best there is because they give you a bed and breakfast when you leave. And when you come to sleep, they give you food. And there, I met Mary Mays, who was like the owner of Yerba Buena in Union Square. And I always distributed papers there. It was raining, and she said, "Look, God is waiting for you with a beautiful sun. Look at that beautiful sun. And God is waiting for you with the day. You're going to be very happy." She always made things fun.
El día va a ser muy feliz. Y hacía pequeñas bromas y siempre yo compraba una bolsita de paletas de dulce que las compraba a 99 cents.
I always bought a bag of lollipops for the night distribution because a lot of people, well, they work in the buildings around the financial area. I would give them their newspaper and their lollipop. And the newspaper, well, it was free. They would give us a preview of the day's news. In that way, we made it fun. And that's where I met Mary. And we had fun. She said, "Talk to my husband, and he'll take you to go sweeping a school. So when you leave here, you work 3 hours over there. If you want, you can work from here to there." I started at Union Square. I swear I worked there 5 years. There at Yerba Buena, well, 3 years.
¿Cómo es que se va encadenando la vida? Y como que la vida, el destino o Dios te está poniendo a ciertas personas en tu camino que te ayudan.
It's striking how life builds itself link by link. It's as if life, destiny, or God puts certain people in your path who help you. So, my children are in Tijuana, but my sisters and most of my family are in a small town in the state of Durango. And there, even if I want to work, there are no jobs there right now. If you work in a factory, you only earn 1,200 pesos, which is less than $60 a week. From 8 in the morning until the afternoon, that's what they earn. So I helped all my sisters, and I send money to all of them. It goes a long way because life is less expensive there. What I do every December is I save some money, and I become like Santa to all my nieces and nephews. Last year, I had 37 nieces and nephews to celebrate. My nephews and my nieces have children. Some are 15 years old. If I send them their Christmas gift, I send them a little envelope for 100 pesos, which is $5. But I send them their gift, I make them a piñata, and some treats. And that feels good to me.
Eso me siento bien. ¿Por qué? Si la vida me da trabajo, la vida me da... No he batallado mucho en los trabajos. Pues, ¿qué me cuesta yo? Si alguien me ayuda, yo tengo que ayudar a mi familia. Entonces,
because life gives me work. Life works for me. I haven't struggled much to get work, and well, what does it cost me to help someone if I've been helped? I have to help my family, so you have to be grateful for what you receive. And from that, well, it's better that other people also benefit. And that has helped me a lot. I feel better when I give than when I receive. And I remember what life is like there at Union Square. Mary helped me. She said, "Where do you live?" I live in the square, in the shelter. No, come with me. I know the captain of the Salvation Army because I give donations. I'm going to get you a studio there. No, it can't be. Yes, I know the captain and the major there, Gerardo. You'll never go back to that shelter. And look, to this day, I've never had to. And sometimes I say, it's as if life's giving me more than I deserve. Everything came together. And now through Francisco, who was in another organization, I found work there. And until now, I have steady jobs from that organization. I really haven't struggled with work per se.
Pues hay veces que como que se te siente la depresión, porque yo desde el que me vine aquí, desde 2000, que me vine a Oxnard y me vine para acá, pues estoy solo. Entonces, hay veces que tienes que encaminar tu vida. Yo, sinceramente,
There are times when you feel depressed because since I came here, well, I'm alone. So there are times when you have to get your life back on track. But honestly, I don't believe in depression because you can do things if you feel alone. You can do things that you like. Going to church, right? Singing or going dancing. Seeing a lot of places. You don't have to be locked up because being locked up is what damages you, what depresses you. The immigration raids have changed things. It's affected me a lot. With my colleagues, with myself, it's not the same anymore. Many of my friends no longer have the happiness of meeting up somewhere to play a sport. They no longer go. We used to go to a restaurant to eat. No longer. They can't go anymore. I sincerely say this from the bottom of my heart. I think there's no sensitivity anymore. There's no moral awareness anymore because they're doing many things that aren't right.
Están haciendo bastantes cosas que no están bien y uno lo está viendo que hayan.
And you're seeing it in schools, hospitals, restaurants, and honestly, if there's someone who's doing something bad, here, go get them. That's fine. They deserve it. But you can't go grabbing innocent people thinking that they're bad. Now, the first thing they do is catch you, and then they investigate you. And that's not right. No. If you behave badly, you have to pay for it. But you can't take innocent people, grab anyone, grab you, and then investigate you to see what you might have done. That's not right. Now they don't even have a trial. They go to a judge, and now they just deport you and take you back to your country. Because it's not about being fellow countrymen, yours or mine. We're human beings, and we have to respect each other.
Yo siempre he dicho, hay 3 palabras bien importantes en tu vida. El agradecimiento, el respeto. El respeto es bien importante. Si tú me respetas, yo te respeto. Nunca va a haber problemas entre nosotros. Y es la humildad.
Look, I've always said that there are 3 important words in your life. Gratitude, respect. Respect is very important. If you respect me, I respect you. There will never be problems between us. And humility. Even if you have a good job, you're still climbing a ladder. There are many people who are climbing a ladder. Even, Latino colleagues who believe they're above you, thinking, I'm your boss, I'm not going to help you. As a child, now you take care of your dad. The wheel of fortune is part of life. And we have to help each other, respect each other above all. I have a question for you. Where do you find the people who work in the fields? Like those who work in restaurants, hotels, or warehouses?
Casi la mayoría de los trabajos de menos calidad lo hacemos nosotros. Entonces, todos dependemos de todos nosotros. El rico depende del pobre, el pobre depende del rico.
We are the ones who do most of the lower quality jobs, us. So we depend on each other. The rich depend on the poor depend on the rich. Imagine if there were only rich people. Are they going to be cleaning their own houses? So who? Who brought me to the fields? Who harvested the crops? So we need each other. We all need each other, really. Then I don't know what's going on. If it's vanity or wanting to be, I'm the king, I'm number one, I don't need this one, I don't need you. No. Everyone needs everyone, even if you have a lot. There's a very beautiful song I wrote. It says, even if you're a millionaire, you can't buy life. You can buy a lot of things, but even if you have millions and millions, you can't buy good friendships. You can't buy, I don't know, Love. The love of a good person, right?
Mi esperanza es que el que está haciendo esto, el presidente, tenga un poquito de sensibilidad y cambie, que sea razonable y que no todo lo que está haciendo él sabe que está mal lo que está haciendo.
I hope that whoever is doing this, the president, will wake up and change, that he will stop what he's doing. He knows what he's doing is wrong.
Todos dependemos de todos.
We all depend on each other.
Castellanos, emigré aquí a San Francisco.
I am Guillermina Castellanos. I emigrated here with dreams of a better life for my children. I left my parents in Chapala, Jalisco. I arrived at Folsom and 15th to meet my children's father. We had a girl and 2 boys, and the idea was to be with my husband because, as we say in our culture, a family should be united. I was surprised that when I arrived here in San Francisco, I saw a lot of trash, a lot of people sleeping on the street. And it made me very sad because my house is very poor, but it's a house that we sweep, we water, and the smell of wet earth, the flowers. My father was a gardener, and we have a poor house, but full of flowers, so I missed that a lot, and being unable to speak the language made me very nostalgic. I was a very traditional woman, taking my children to school, taking them home, cooking, doing the laundry. I didn't have money to go to the laundromat, so I did the laundry in the bathtub. My children's father, he drank a lot, and we lived in a small room.
Entonces, empezó la violencia doméstica. Más de 15 años pasé violencia doméstica. Pero en esa,
I was 7 months pregnant with another baby when the domestic violence started. I suffered domestic violence for more than 15 years. I used to take my children to kindergarten and to school, and I would see the buildings. Here, at Marshall School. I love it every time I pass by it because I remember when I would bring my children when they were little. I met a group of parents who were part of a parents group. Several women told me to come to the meeting, but I said, oh no, I'm not going there to gossip.
reunión llegó una señora que se llama Clara Luz Navarro.
Finally, a woman convinced me to go, and I met Clara Luz Navarro. She's one of the women who founded Mujeres Unidas y Activas, and she interviewed me and gave me $10. At the time, it was like 1,000. Beans cost 10 cents, tortillas 5 cents, cheese. I bought a little piece of cheese, and we ate well. That helped a lot. And over time, she asked if I wanted to be part of the women's group, but I said, no, I'm not going to go to that because my children's father was subjecting me to domestic violence and he kept me isolated. He oppressed me. I didn't know anything. So I said, no, I'm not going to go because he's going to beat me. I was always in the hospital with black eyes, bruises all over my body and everything. So the lady told me, if I form a group, would you like to go? I said yes, but I thought, I'm not going. But she convinced me. She was my angel because she got me out of domestic violence. So when I joined, I was one of the first of 8 women who formed Mujeres Unidas. That was 40 years ago. She kept inviting me, so I took more and more training sessions. I spent time developing my leadership, realizing that I wasn't ugly just because my children's father told me I was. So I left, saying, no, I have value. I am a woman of value.
Ser feliz, no puede seguir recibiendo golpes. El caso es de que ella me dijo, usted va a comer de esto. Y yo dije, voy a comer. Ay, ¿sabe qué estará pensando la señora?
They told me, you have rights. You have everything you need to be happy. They told me, this work is going to feed you. I said to myself, what's this lady thinking? Well, the thing is, I'm here. I'm here, right? I worked for 8 years with Mujeres Unidas y Activas. I was the program manager. We worked on domestic violence because I had experienced it. The funds dried up when the Twin Towers were attacked, and I was left with nothing. And then Renea Cedo, another mentor who has been fundamental in my development, called me and she said, "What if we form a group of day laborers?" I went because I was dying of anxiety and depression. I was running out of the money I'd earned from Mujeres Unidas. And we went and founded the Women's Collective. It was so successful that it started it's like popcorn. When you put the popcorn in and it starts jumping and making noise, what's the mission? What's the vision? How do we do the form? What are the strategies we're going to use? I formed the Women's Collective in 2020, but I was unfairly fired. It felt like a death.
Las mujeres latinas inmigrantes venimos a exponernos a muchos peligros, a mucha falta de pago de salario, falta de derechos,
Latinas are exposed to many dangers here. A lot of unpaid wages, a lack of rights, lack of protection. We're fleeing violence, and we find ourselves here without rights. So we're really focused on having a worker center where women can cry, laugh, and feel at home, where they can see this place as a sanctuary. Well, that's where I started. I started with Renea to found the Coalition of Women Workers at the state level. It also grew a lot. So, we're founders of the National Alliance of Domestic Workers. In La Raza, a legal center that was our incubator, I never imagined that we were going to be doing a survey in 9 languages about domestic workers. We learned that there are 2.5 million domestic workers nationwide, and we're still not counting those that are in the shadows, right? But we didn't just settle for that. We also founded the International Labor Organization.
Y ahí estuve presente en las Naciones Unidas, donde dando mi testimonio de abuso psicológico, y recordarme en las Naciones Unidas, en el centenario, que yo fui trabajadora del hogar y que por mi historia cambió la perspectiva.
I gave a presentation at the United Nations during its centennial. I gave testimony about the abuse I had suffered, and because I recounted that story and the story of being a domestic worker, because of my story, the perspective changed. It left an impression because it's not just about Guillermina. No, it's more. It's all the hardworking 5-year-old girls cleaning, taking care of the dog, the cat, doing all the housework. 5 years old. Giving my testimony and having the C agreement, which calls for decent work for all domestic workers, passed, that was impressive. I believe that God is guiding me, the Holy Spirit. So, we won Convention 189, which all countries are required to implement. And hearing that Peru and Guatemala have adopted it, it's happening on a global scale. Mexico is working to implement it. That's a wonderful thing, because this industry hasn't been recognized in over 400 years. I feel very committed to this industry, which exists in a system that is broken at every level. The most affected are Latino and migrant families. Now, millions of local workers will be affected by having their medical care cut. They also want to cut public assistance, which is something unconscionable. They're not concerned about the harm they'll do to Latino immigrant families. They want to remove the laws that protect us, even though it was we who were most affected during the pandemic.
Durante la pandemia, ¿cuánta gente no murió? ¿Y cuánta gente de nosotros estuvo al frente haciendo el cuidado de pacientes, haciendo el cuidado de niños, limpiando las casas? Porque para ellas, aunque estaban en peligro, eran las primeras que estaban en primera línea, los jornaleros.
How many people died? How many of us were on the front lines caring for patients, caring for children, cleaning houses for them? Even though we were in danger, we were the first ones on the front lines, the day laborers, cleaning up all the fires, cleaning everything that was causing the illnesses, cleaning all the streets. We were the ones who took others to where the vaccines were so they could get a vaccine, so they could receive services. It's shocking how this current government is burdening us. They're not thinking clearly. Instead of bettering the economy, the damage is going to cost them double. And workers are aging. I'm one of them. There's a worker right now who's over 70 years old here. She's still working. She doesn't have health insurance. I have a family that supports me 100%. I didn't mention it, but I have 15 grandchildren. The youngest grandchild is 2 years old, and the oldest is 24. I have 9 children, and I tell them, God is so great. And it's wonderful that I've been put in charge by good people, because our Latinas, our immigrants, and day laborers need people like us to model leadership. Leadership builds self-esteem, so they're the ones at the forefront, not only at work, but as mentors for other female workers who are coming up.
Y eso lo hemos logrado a través de los años. Nuevo Sol es, como dice Nuevo Sol, una nueva era, una nueva esperanza.
We've achieved so much over the years. That's why we call ourselves El Nuevo Sol, the new sun, like a new era, new hope. We have leadership development, empowerment, and political power, which is important for the laborers to stand up for their rights. The most important thing is turning fear and shock into dignity. Because of course we feel fear, we feel anger, we feel helplessness, we feel many emotions. What that man in the Oval Office is doing is an affront. All I can say is, may God forgive him. Because I don't like cursing people. I like to say, may God forgive him. God bless him, because that's what attracts God, good vibes.
Y aquí estamos con Nuevo Sol, desarrollando todo ese poder político. Y en estos momentos sí se siente el miedo, se siente el pánico, pero nosotros, y yo personalmente, está en mis hombros, demostrarles a ellos que la dignidad nadie nos la va a quitar.
And here we are, with a new sun, un nuevo sol, developing all that political power. I take it upon myself to model that no one can take away your dignity. No one is going to take it away. I've learned that Guillermina Castellanos has a story, and no one is going to erase yours either. Because you're a book. If they read it, it will be perfect and empowering to them, because a woman's story is worth gold. We can learn from each other. Right now, we're in a struggle that must be faced. We won't give in. We will not be defeated. I write songs and poems to bolster myself. We have an artist here named Francisco Herrera. He's a musician who consoles us by making his guitar cry.
Tenemos coro, tenemos teatro, donde hacemos que la vida sea más fácil para sobrevivir con estas resiliencias. ¿Verdad? No es fácil. Pero invitamos a nuestra comunidad para que venga y se empape de amor, que se empape de lucha y que convierta el miedo en dignidad.
We have a choir and a theater which makes life easier. We invite our community to come soak up the love, to immerse themselves in the good fight and transform fear into dignity. We can't stand still.
Gracias.
Gracias. Te quiero mucho.
Yo más.
In each episode, we include a satirical sketch from the Mike and Mari Show, featuring Michael Bassier and Mari Magaloni Ramos. In keeping with our episode theme, we offer you this bit of comic relief titled, well, I can't really tell you the title because it will give away the joke.
Are you looking to make some extra cash in your spare time? Are you having trouble making ends meet while working at Chick-fil-A? Be honest, you've been boycotting Taco Bell because you can't spell chalupa, and you make it a point not to eat what you can't spell. If you've answered yes to any of these questions, this important message is for you. MAGA is looking to hire 10,000 patriots and Proud Boys to defend the homeland. Thanks to the big, beautiful bill, we saved up billions of dollars by cutting school lunches for lazy kids, Meals on Wheels for old folks who don't have the decency to die, closing down PBS, and evicting everyone off of Sesame Street. We're using all that money to offer you a dynamic and rewarding career as a deportation temporary worker with enforcement removal operations. The team that brought you Uber and Uber Eats has joined forces with Immigration and Customs Enforcement to become Uber ICE. Now using the latest in Starlink technology, you can harass, arrest, remove, and otherwise terrorize anyone you'd like, all from the comfort of your own car. Uber ICE is offering $50,000 in signing bonuses and a chance to work at Alligator Alcatraz to anyone who applies within the next 24 hours. We'll even throw in a free king-size MyPillow, not including shipping and handling. You'll earn a real He-Man salary, up to $90,000 a year. All you need to do is prove that you can deadlift a small child. Hey, if you had a hissy fit masking up during the pandemic but love wearing one now to protect your identity, then Uber ICE is for you. Masks, muskets, and mace are provided free of charge. Visit our Uber ICE recruitment centers located in the Old Spirit Halloween stores in your town and apply today. The first 100 people who can figure out how to open the automatic door will receive a $50 bonus. And coming soon, we'll be announcing Waymo ICE, the newest chapter in self-driving self-deportation. If you're brown and undesirable, just call for the car and you can deport yourself. No muss, no fuss. Sign up today and start using all that pent-up cruelty to serve your country. Uncle Sam wants you. Not you. You.
We're here in Nuevo Sol with Francisco Herrera, and we're getting to know folks. We just want to get to know folks. But you are one of the founders of Nuevo Sol.
Mm-hmm.
How did you even get started here? You're a musician, and this is a domestic labor collective. So how does this all work?
Well, in 1989, day laborers started getting organized because they were being beaten, fined, just pushed to the sides. The people who were hiring them in the corners were getting fined, and our folks were getting jailed and accused of many ways. And so they began organizing, and I was working at a project responding to the earthquake of '89. We were going to door, just identifying. The earthquake brought out a lot of trauma for people who had come from Central America and other parts of the Latin America that experienced war. And I just had come back from El Salvador during that war. And we had a project called Central America Organizing Project, CARUP, out of Catholic Charities in San Francisco. And yeah, so we started organizing with the day laborers, Jose Samperio, Jose Echeverria, and a few other folks who were saying, look, you guys are paid to serve us, so lend me your copy machine. Lend me your phone, whatever. Let us your space to meet and to gather. And little by little, it took 2 years, that campaign, until finally the membership, together with the other community members, pressured the city, and Jim Gonzalez, Jose Medina were two supervisors. It was citywide supervisors back then. And fortunately, we won the district supervisors, but back then it was citywide. And so they then they pushed the city and gave the first 100,000. Then the next battle was that then the racists said, oh, well, now that you won, now get him off the street. We don't want to see brown people in the corners. And said, no, sorry. Every human being has a right to look for a job in any corner. And this is our constitutional right of free speech. So we won that battle. But they wanted to throw us in a very invisible place. So then the fight became where we were going to be. And we ended up at the corner of 17th and Hampshire at Franklin Square Park, which back then was a very seedy place. And not good seeds were being planted there at that time. But it was very violent, very dangerous. And anyway, we made the best of it, hired the first Joaquin Dominguez, the first director, and Germán Martinez, the first site manager. And shortly thereafter, Joaquin actually resigned, and he did 1 year, but Germán became the director. It was a beautiful project of workers, a wonderful platform which continues today as Nuevo Sol, where neighbors are helping neighbors. But I have to tell you one story though, that during that first year, the guys we used to go out up to 25 Oak where the funding was managed and stuff. And Herman and some of the guys were there all happy and walking to this one bureaucrat said, "What are you guys all happy about?" And it was a Chicano guy too. It says, "What are you guys all happy about? They just gave you this money to get you off their backs. So you're not going to get it next year." Wow, totally disinflated, right? But as they were leaving the office, Herman said, "This is the best slap in the face that we have ever received." "What do you mean?" "Well, now we know they don't intend to give us the money. So we have 6 months to organize." And 40 years later, 35 years later, here we are now, Nuevo Sol. At 1 year, so it was through the Northern California Coalition for Immigrant Rights and Services. Then it went to La Raza as this fiscal sponsor. And then from La Raza went to Dolores Street. And then 2 years ago, we decided we didn't fit with Dolores' more corporate structure. And anyway, so we decided to separate. They decided to say, well, you can leave, but we're keeping your phone number, your history, basically we didn't have a website anymore anyway, your name and everything, and goodbye. So we reorganized and developed what is now Nuevo Sol. Of course, men can clean houses and women can do electric work. That wasn't the issue. The issue started as really a space where women could really find each other and support each other. And so it stayed as a women's group. And they said, okay, we'll focus on house cleaning, child care, caregiving, and special events. And we all did special events together. And so there's what La Colectiva was born in 1999, 2000, and the Women's Collective. No? So it was the San Francisco Day Labor Program and the Women's Collective, and continued working together. And so when we became independent with the support of the San Francisco Study Center, which does a magnificent job at fiscal sponsorship, because that's all they do, fiscal sponsorship. They don't try to take you over as an organization. And during COVID was quite an example of what it means. Okay, here's an example of power. Basically, on March 14th, when shelter in place came in, our members lost every single job. There was nothing. No one's going to be letting anyone into their home, into their yards, into anything. So everyone lost everything. And so that was the question. How much did you lose this week on the 21st, right? Well, from the person who lost $120 or $150 to the person who lost $2,500, $101,000. 80 people, 40 men, 40 women, $101,000. I said, Guillermina, look at the survey. Our people are just natural researchers because they're always asking each other stuff, right? And so I said, Guille, you're going to this meeting. Guillermina was going to this meeting to represent us at the city hall with, people from the mayor's office, the Jobs with Justice organizations, the supervisors. One of these emergency meetings, right? It's March 23rd or whatever it was, and says, you got to take this number, not to show them what we lost, to show them what we contribute. Show them what we contribute to this city, $101,000 in a week between only 80 people, and we're like 200. The men, it was 21,000. The women, it was 80,000. And anyways, $101,000. That was and so she took those numbers. Look at what we contribute. It's not none of this poor little immigrant thing, and we're completely against all this pity stuff. And I remember even saying it to one of our administrators at Dolores. Says, we don't to be doing this. You got people who've crossed 3 nations, 4 nations, 5 countries. They've gone through wars. They got children. They're raising their families. Some of these guys have had businesses. Some of these people were professors, researchers. You're talking about people who were the best corn growers, super educated farmers that know how to read the earth and the moon and the stars. And you're going to treat them like the poor little immigrant thing? What are you talking about? Oh, but funders want to hear the pity story. You have to do it. I said, well, I'm not going to do no baloney pity story, man. I know where I come from. It's like, come on. These are the heroes, the sheroes. So it's like, so I said, Gia, you got to tell them what we contribute to this city. And so she did. And sorry for the long story, and she did. And she said, we have to establish an undocu fund. And the supervisor said, yes, let's do an undocu fund. So before we knew it, they raised like $20 million that went during COVID, broke it down to cards of $1,000, $1,200 per families. Then we had April 26th and through 27th was the first testing, general testing in 3 different areas of different parks and schools to bring people and to show that how deeply we're being affected by this COVID thing, and we weren't being sheltered in place because we had to go do the restaurant thing or the cleaning thing or this is not just day laborers. I mean, people that were working in the restaurants, people that were, because day laborers lost everything. Thanks to UCSF, we sat down with UCSF, Instituto Familiar de la Raza, and they got a fund of $500,000, $465,000. And yes, we got of our members who could apply, we got domestic workers and day laborers went through the study, the preparation at UCLA and all that stuff. One of the to get certified, and we got them paid as contact tracers in the whole country. This was the model program. And so we got our folks working in the middle of no one letting anyone in the house, because that's and just that faithful creativity. That's why, for me, we live in a time when compassion is seen as a weakness. So whoever doesn't want to take on compassion is simply a coward. And it's better to just admit it. I'm a coward. I'm not strong enough or courageous enough to be compassionate because others will criticize me or whatever the heck is your excuse. It's better to admit it. I'm a coward. I'm not compassionate enough. I think the critical thing is here. Do you live with a delusion of the delusion that there isn't enough, that there's scarcity? Oh, there's not enough for everybody, so I just better get my own. And if not, I don't care for my family. What a bunch of baloney. Or my friend, the theologian from Germany, used to say, what a bunch of bullshitska. And it's theological word. Or so you either live from this place of scarcity, which is a lie, or you confront the reality that we live in a place of abundance. Abundance. The earth keeps giving, the air keeps giving, creation keeps giving. If you come from a place of faith, Creator keeps giving. It's all about giving. It's all about generosity. And the sacrifices I've seen among the members last month we lost 2 members that died from a heart attack and from another illness that ended up being part of the heart actually as well. But what happened? We put the word out, and amongst a bunch of people, we did one of those crowdfunding things or human funding things. I kind of don't really like this crowd thing, but anyway, put it out, and we just peddled it, and $6,500 raised in 2 weeks. The members here, I remember when we needed to get a phone because we started from scratch again. One of the members who collects aluminum cans comes up to me and says, "Here for the new phone, $100 bill." It's like from people who know, it's like the so-called the immigrant thing, and so, but it's generosity, it's compassion. That's what it is. It's a courageous thing called compassion that says there's abundance.
So, okay, one last little capture thing. So, in the light of the immigration raids, give us just, your thoughts.
I see these immigration raids as the beginning of the end of Vance and Trump and the beginning of the end of racism. The reason I'm saying that is because this is horrific what they're doing. It's a violation of the Constitution. It's a violation of all our rights. It's breaking the law. They're breaking the law. And they're causing deep pain, deep trauma to people who already are in a place of trauma, who, like I just explained, are consistently giving, consistently lifting this country in the hundreds of billions of dollars. In fact, the work of Dr. Hayes Bautista, just so you know I'm not baloneying you, from UCLA, he going through the research, a deeply profoundly researched material showing the immigrant community contributes into the $50 trillion into the economy. I better not say into the trillions of dollars into the economy, because I don't know the exact number, but I remember reading the report from last month. And so this level of harm, and I want to say, in the 30s, when my father was a boy, this happened, and no one, it just a million people were deported. Citizens like you and I were deported, and just because we had brown skin, and Indian, Native Americans were deported, and all kinds of folks were criminalized. And in 54, they did it again, and in the 50s later, the McCarthyism did it again to the U.S. citizens. And no one stood up. Well, when McCarthyism, the Unitarian Universalist Church stood up in L.A. and said, with all loving kindness, but here's the middle finger to your so-called witch hunt or whatever, and McCarthyism. But anyway, 2025, they're doing the same thing. All around the world, all around the country, and really around the world, people are seeing this fiasco for what it is, the crime for what it is, And there are a lot of people who are being fooled right now, and a lot of people who are being brought into the hysteria. And so for me, here's the thing. Because they have not a leg to stand on, no intention of disrespect for people who have amputated legs and stuff, but they have to work on lies to create hysteria. They use lies to create hysteria and havoc and chaos, and even hurt the economy. I don't think really Trump cares about hurting the economy because he wants to bring us back to slavery. He doesn't want to bring us even to capitalism. He wants to bring us back to monarchy and slavery, more of a feudal thing. But that leaves us with one option: truth, to bring us back to our senses. So that's what the concert we had, Migration Strengthens the Nation. I would say, hey, we're having a concert called Migration Strengthens the Nation. And people say, and that's the truth. That was literally people, wow, what a name. That's the truth. So it's like, migration beautifies the nation. We make the wealth that we made these microphones, we make this mic cables, we make these light bulbs. We make the wealth. We create the wealth. Working people create the wealth. We should have a say in our government. These are truths, right? That we just need to say them. And it's so powerful.
John Lennon once famously said that the Beatles grew up as songwriters when they changed perspective from first person, like I Want to Hold Your Hand and I Saw Her Standing There, to a more expansive view about how the world affects all of us, like Taxman and A Day in the Life. In today's pop music, popular artists like Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran reflect the first person perspective. In today's political climate, it's glaring that most popular music is made up of songs about romantic relationships and not songs that protest the world's injustices. There's no looking outward. It's mostly navel-gazing. Sometimes I wonder what popular artist will stand the test of time and be relevant in 20 years. There are artists who are commenting on how the world affects the individual that we used to call protest songs, but they're mostly older artists like Neil Young, Bruce Springsteen, and John Mellencamp. These are artists in their 60s and 70s and don't have to really worry about feeding the corporate machine. There are younger songwriters that offer a more social perspective, artists like Tyler Childers, Eric Church, or Hayes Carell. If you don't know them, check them out. Now, because this edition of Pod and Country is a special episode, we have a special piece of music to accompany the tone. Our first episode featured a song from the late, great John Fromer. Through John's music, we were led to Francisco Herrera. For this episode, we offer a duet that features both John and Francisco. It's a song called I Can't Sleep, written by Malvina Reynolds. She's made famous for her song Little Boxes. Little Boxes was written about the town I was raised in, Daly City, California. Here's their duet, I Can't Sleep.
I cannot sleep,
No puedo dormir
thinking of the children
pensando de los niños
who cannot sleep,
que no pueden
con
dormir,
supperless to bed.
pues no tienen que comer.
I cannot sleep,
Dormir no puedo,
thinking of the young ones
pensando de las
who
niñas
roam the road,
sin un
no
hogar
place to lay their heads.
donde descansar.
If there were one,
Si fuera
it would be
una,
cause to wonder.
sería cosa que pensar.
If there were one,
Si fuera
would be cause to weep.
fuera cosa para llorar.
But they are numbered
Pero no es uno,
into many thousands,
sino que son miles.
and for each
Y
one
por cada uno
I cannot sleep.
no puedo dormir. Los almacenes
The stores are full,
llenos de alimento,
bins are overflowing,
y frente a ellos
in sight of food,
niños hambrientos van,
hungry children wait,
mientras las
while
líneas
on the streets
son cada día más largas.
lines are getting longer,
Y en el hogar
because at home
no hay nada que
there's
comer.
nothing on the plate.
Si fuera una,
If there were
sería
one,
causa que pensar.
it would be cause
Si
to wonder.
fuera uno,
There were one,
fuera causa para
it would be
llorar.
cause to weep.
Pero no es
They are
uno,
numbered
sino que son
into many
miles.
thousands,
Y por cada uno
and for each
no
one
puedo dormir.
I cannot sleep. We will not sleep,
No dormiremos,
my sisters from the city.
hermanas de la ciudad.
We will not sleep,
No dormiremos,
my brothers from the plow,
hermanos de los campos,
till we have shared
hasta lograr
wealth we have created,
la riqueza compartir
and there is food
entre nuestra
for
gente
those who hunger now.
que hambre tiene ya.
If there were one,
Si fuera
it
uno,
would be cause cause to wonder
daría causa que pensar.
if there were one.
Si fuera
It would
uno,
be cause to weep.
daría causa que llorar, pero
they
no
are
es uno, sino
into
que son
many thousands,
y por
and
cada
for each one
uno no
I
puedo
cannot
dormir.
sleep till there are none.
Hasta que no haya ni uno,
We will not sleep.
no dormiremos.
Soy de La Paz, Bolivia.
I'm from La Paz, Bolivia. I came here because my husband was given a job in the Ministry of Foreign Relations. He always told me, let's get out, let's get out. I asked him, why didn't you ask for the United States? And he asked, and arrived here working at the Bolivian consulate, which used to be in San Francisco. And so here I am. I arrived at the end of 98. I think it's more than 25 plus 26, something like 27. I've lost count. It's easy to do that. Well, that's me. I had also been an activist in Bolivia. I worked in shirt factories for more than 15 years. That's how I got involved in the activity. I saw a lot of injustice in those factories.
Nueva y había gente que estaba abusando otras compañeras de ella y eso es lo que me molestaba a mí. De eso me involucré más. Siempre me ha gustado.
There were people who were abusing other coworkers, and that bothered me. That's what got me more involved. I've always liked to be polite. I don't like mistreating people or being mistreated. So I worked for many years, and after that, I became independent. I studied tailoring. I started my own business. I retired from the factory and started my own studio in Bolivia. I had employees. I made all kinds of uniforms for men and women. And then, as it happened, they gave my husband the opportunity to come here to work at the consulate. But I still had the company, which was a problem. My little sister started running it. I wasn't there anymore. I stayed here permanently. Life is what you make of it. It's like what color glasses you wear when you look at life. If I wear dark glasses, everything looks dark. But if I wear rose-colored glasses, everything looks rose-colored. My grandmother taught me to see things that way.
Yo en cuanto llegué, como mi profesión era tailor, empecé a buscar trabajo en este campo. Pero lamentablemente yo trabajaba 8 a 12 horas y solamente tenía remuneración de 8 horas.
As soon as I arrived, I started looking for work as a tailor. But unfortunately, I'd work 12 hours and only get paid for 8. I told my boss, when are you going to pay me? I was supposed to be paid every 2 weeks, and the time had already passed and I needed the money. I told him clearly, I need the money. I need it. And he said, I need it too. That answer bothered me. That was the moment. I said, no, I'm not going to put up with this abuse. I threw my keys at him. I said, this is the final straw, and left. But Inez, he says, you can't do that to me. Oh, yes, I can. I can't stand it. So I got home and my husband asked me, what happened? Why did you come back so early? And I told him what happened. I went to find a lawyer and my husband said, oh, no, you can't do that here.
De esa manera salí, busqué abogados por todo lado. Llegué a la tienda, aquí a la 16, había una oficina de derechos laborales. De un lado a otro lado me mandaban. Entonces,
so I went out and looked for lawyers everywhere. There was a labor rights office sending me from one place to another. They sent me until I got to the legal center at Valencia, and I said, I'm looking for a lawyer. And they told me, 3 months. The group is meeting here on Wednesdays. They meet from 5 to 7. If you want to come, that's fine. I said yes. I got involved as a volunteer working with lawyers, and we started to recover many wages for all the people who came and were robbed because there are abusive employers. And I also filed a lawsuit against my old boss, and I won. I'm persistent in things. When I want something, I achieve it. I look for it, I learn it, I do it. And then I always get it.
Sí me afectó por la gente que este nuevo gobierno está atacando a la gente, asustando. Me afectó en ver cómo la gente se asusta. En lo personal,
This new administration with its immigration raids has affected me because of the people it's attacking, scaring. It affects me to see how scared people are. Personally, I'm not. I'm not afraid. Come on, my grandmother used to say. But it scares me, I'd say. The people who are here say, oh, what am I going to do? I have children. I'm going to leave. I tell them, don't be scared. Everything will pass. And always remember that there's no bad that doesn't come to some good. Bad things are happening, but somehow things will change for the good. Our ancestors have always come to pave the way for us, and we continue to come, and we continue to pave the way for those who come after us. We must be strong and unified because there's strength in unity. This government isn't taking office for the first time, it's the second time, so it's over, right? Everything has a beginning and an end. Nothing is permanent in life. There will always be change. It's already happened and it hasn't happened. It's coming now. Perhaps we're seeing it more clearly, but we're in it. It's what we have to do. Whether we're doing it right or not, we have to be stronger and keep going.
Vamos a salir adelante y decirle a la gente que no tenga miedo, porque siempre hay una solución.
Let's move forward and tell people not to be afraid, because there's always a solution. Bueno, bienvenida.
Gracias.
¿De dónde es usted originalmente?
Yo soy original de México.
¿De qué parte?
De Jalisco.
I'm originally from Mexico, Jalisco. The reason I came was because my children were so young and they're already put to work at that age over there. And I didn't see any possibilities for them to study because it was very difficult there. My husband was here, and I came with some cousins in Tijuana, and from there I came here, crossed over here. My husband was working. He was here in San Francisco, and he works in construction, so it was worth it, yes. I say yes, it was worth it. My hope now is to see them fulfilled. The job that makes me most proud is not doing for other people, but doing for my family. Like when I cook for my kids and they tell me, Mommy, your food is delicious.
Y también mi hijo me dice que rico está mi mole, que no ha probado otro igual. Y cada cumpleaños me piden empanadas de manzana, de piña.
And my son also tells me how delicious my mole is. He's never tried anything like it. And every birthday, he asks me for apple and pineapple empanadas. My mother taught me how to make mole, but I add more things. I put almonds in it. I put a little piece of chocolate in it, a little piece of cinnamon, ancho chile, guajillo chile, morita chile, and saltine crackers. Sesame seeds, cloves, pepper, cumin, oregano, and what else? Well, it's still cold. I go with tomato. And I already put the pepper, cumin, cloves, and all that. And I put sesame seeds, oregano, and when it's hot, I put in the saltine crackers. And sometimes I add a few chips, but homemade ones, made with golden tortillas. Well, they tell me they haven't tried any other mole like it. I make it for special events or just because.
Para cumpleaños o a veces que tenemos ganas de mole y lo hago.
¿Y quizás el cumpleaños de Cal le harías un
Sí,
mole?
como no, si me dice qué día los cumple, yo se lo puedo hacer.
If you tell her what's your birthday, she'll make you mole.
Yo se lo puedo hacer, nomás pasa por él y yo se lo tengo listo.
I make it for birthdays or just sometimes we feel like mole and I make it. Or maybe for Cal's birthday. If he tells me what day his birthday is, I can make it for him. I can do it for you. Just pick it up. I'll have it ready.
Well, that's it. This concludes a very special episode of Pod and Country.
We'd like to thank Francisco Herrera, Guillermina Castellanos, and Nuevo Sol Day Labor and Domestic Worker Center, and the people who gifted us with their stories. To find out more about Nuevo Sol, visit their Instagram page.
We'd also like to give a special thanks to our producer, engineer, and sound genius, Cal Ball.
And thanks to Jonathan Silk and Alicia Cover for all things technical. And an extra special thanks to Debbie Wu for the generous donation.
If you have a comment, drop us a line at podandcountry@uusf.org.
But please send all negative comments to Cal, care of Alex Jones. But you better hurry.
Vanessa, take us home.
Toby Buckle, in an article he penned in July of this year on the website Liberal Currents, writes about what he calls the politics of humiliation. We've frequently and correctly discussed the Trump movement in terms of cruelty, Buckle writes. He wants to add the presence and politics of humiliation to the naming of what we're seeing and its effect on us. We do not listen to humiliated persons, Buckle says. Buckle describes how an experience of being humiliated lowers our standing in society, and even more than that, how it often is the destruction of our status. It's why we find these moments in our lives, our personal lives, our professional lives, if and when we have them, some of the most awful to recount, try hardest to forget them, and work to avoid their repeat. Buckle knows it's a strange thesis, asking us to think about the politics of humiliation, but he asks the reader to stay with him. Were he to define it, humiliation, he says, would be, quote, the forced recognition of domination, end quote. It's something rulers and conquerors have visited upon their enemies and their people for millennia, as a technique of control, and Buckle says, it is innately non-consensual. Humiliation is done to others. Humiliation is bullies yelling homophobic insults to the teenager in the locker room and forcing them to kneel and repeat those insults. It is Black folk forced to use separate water fountains. It is anything said or done that reduces a human being to one part of themselves, and that part being made out to be less than worthy. It is also people rounded up, stripped of their rights, of their clothing, made to kneel naked in a row in a San Salvador prison, labeled only as criminals or even just immigrants, as if any label justifies the act of debasing any person, let alone group of people. Of course, nations and tribes and gangs have engaged in the politics of humiliation through history and paired the social permission giving with laws that offered it all a veneer of inevitability. But my friends, we, as Unitarian Universalists, and many other people of many other faiths, and many people of no religious faith at all, stand on a few foundational commitments. And one that many of us share is a belief and commitment to affirm the worth and dignity of all people. This politics of humiliation stands in fundamental opposition to that grounding, faithful commitment to dignity and worth. You cannot affirm and support the worth and dignity of all people and humiliate a single person, let alone whole communities or any category. Debasing non-consensual power over none of it is what can be done to a person who has worth and dignity of the kind that we commit to protect and affirm. So Toby Buckle has added another handhold to understanding that sick in the stomach feeling that many of us have been having for months. It is about watching the normalizing of this politics of humiliation. And it is about what that violates, that's fundamental to many of us. And his naming of humiliation is also giving us a litmus test for what is right and wrong in our world. So, if to rule, Mr. President, you must humiliate us, any of us, there is an ocean of people committed to oppose you. And let me add that when you fall from power, I hope it will be us, those who believe in the worth and dignity of others, who will be the ones there to catch you. How lucky you would be. That's all for now, my beloveds. Thank you for joining this episode of Pod and Country. See you next month. The light's on. Come on in.
World of peace with liberty, come on in. Justice starts when all are valued, so let's begin. Now come on in, come on in.